Meningococcal meningitis, seen on the screen above, is the most common cause of bacterial meningitis in children and the second most common cause of bacterial meningitis in adults. Bacterial meningitis can also be caused by other bacteria such as staphylococcal and pneumococcal bacteria. All the bacteria that cause bacterial meningitis affect the meninges all the same. Bacterial meningitis is an infection where bacteria affects the membranes of the spinal cord and the brain, known as meninges.
Most of the bacteria that already live in nose and airways can easily get into the meninges. A recent upper respiratory infection is a big risk factor for infection. One cause of bacterial meningitis can result from head trauma, causing the body's natural bacteria to be forced into the meninges, where irritation and inflammation occurs. Transmission of this bacteria can result from physical contact with a person carrying the bacteria and exchanging bodily fluids through activities such as kissing. You can also come in contact with bacterial meningitis through sneezing and drinking after someone, anything where nasal or oral secretion occurs. Symptoms of bacterial meningitis may include, but are not limited to, fever and chills, mental status and changes, which is confusion and slow thinking rate, nausea and vomiting, sensitivity to light, severe headache, which is worse than the average migraine, and stiffness of neck, which means that you cannot move left or right, up and down without your neck hurting.
There are many treatment options for bacterial meningitis, and treatment for bacterial meningitis is very important because 20% of people who live with bacterial meningitis have long-term after effects, including deafness, mental retardation, nervous system disorders, seizures, or strokes. And 15% of people who contract this disease die. So when feeling any symptoms for bacterial meningitis, please see a doctor or healthcare provider right away. The treatments that are available for bacterial meningitis include antibiotics specific for the bacteria causing your meningitis and other medications and intravenous fluids that will be used to treat symptoms such as brain swelling, shock, and seizure. There are many ways to prevent bacterial meningitis, and one way is the infamous bacterial meningitis vaccine. In the United States, there are 2 vaccines that can be given to people between the ages of 2 and 55. This vaccine will protect children and adults from most bacterial meningitis bacteria so that you will never have to go through the symptoms and possible death of contracting this infection. Those recommended for the bacterial meningitis vaccination are adolescents ages 11 to 12 and adolescents entering high school about the age of 15 who have not already received the vaccination. All college freshmen who have not been vaccinated and are living in dorms, and also children aged 2 and older who do not have their spleen or who have other problems with their immune system are very recommended for getting this vaccine. Household members and others in close contact with people who have bacterial meningitis should receive preventative antibiotics to avoid becoming infected themselves.
On a more cellular level, meningococci are carried in the nasopharynx. Evasive forms of meningococci may overcome host defenses and connect to epithelial cells. The meningococcus then enter the bloodstream. Here they are life-threatening septicemia and multiply to a higher density and shed outer membranes in the form of vesicles, causing the host to release inflammatory mediators and cytosines. They may also cross the blood-brain barrier to the meninges, causing meningitis.
Annually, 1,500 Americans contract bacterial meningitis each year, so be cautious of any symptoms and report them right away. Other methods available for preventing the spread of bacterial meningitis other than the vaccine include washing your hands regularly, avoiding close contact with those infected, and family members and friends who have been in close contact with those infected take preventative antibiotics specific for the bacteria that has caused the bacterial meningitis. The most important thing that everyone watching needs to understand is that the bacterial meningitis vaccination is very important in securing the health of our generation and future generations to come and stopping the spread of bacterial meningitis.
Please keep me healthy.